All right, let's get right into it. We're going to be talking about this totally captivating ancient ritual from Kerala, India. It's called Sarppa Pattu, which literally means the serpent song. And trust me, it's a tradition that's just steeped in myth, music, and a whole lot of mystery. So it all starts with something just incredibly beautiful. Look at this stunning piece of floor art is called a kalam, and it's painstakingly made from all natural powders. It can take hours and hours to create. But here's the twist. Its entire purpose is to be completely erased in a powerful, chaotic climax. So why? Why go to all that trouble? Well, that question leads us to the real puzzle at the heart of this whole thing. See, it doesn't just end with wiping away the art. No, it all culminates with certain women entering this frenzied, hypnotic trance, and they dance like they're oracles for the serpent gods themselves. So what on earth is going on here? That's exactly what we're about to figure out. To really get what's happening with the trance and the whole ritual, we've got to go back to the foundational beliefs. Because in this part of the world, serpents aren't just, animals. They are seen as powerful, divine beings. And what's so wild is just how deeply connected these serpents are to the biggest gods in Hinduism. You have Adisha, who's basically the cosmic bed for Lord Vishnu, the preserver of the universe. And then there's Vasuki, the serpent king, worn like a necklace by Lord Shiva, the destroyer. So we're not talking about some minor connection here. These are central, major figures. So here's the crucial part. If serpents are divine, then harming one, even by accident, can bring on this really powerful curse known as Sarpa Dosha. And this is the main reason why people perform Sarpa Pujadu. It's this whole elaborate ceremony to appease the serpent gods, to ask for forgiveness, and hopefully to lift this curse that can affect a family for generations. And get this, it's not about just one single serpent god. The whole belief system is incredibly structured. Devotees worship the Ashtanaga, which means the 8 great serpent deities. And as you can see, they each have their own caste, they rule over a specific direction of the compass, and they all have to be honored. It's really detailed. Now, this reverence for serpent gods isn't just a thing in Kerala. You find stories all across India that build on this same mythology. Take this quote, for example. It hints at the story of Vasuki's wounds. This little story actually comes from a source in a different language, Telugu, but it just perfectly shows the pan-Indian roots of this belief. So in this huge cosmic event, the churning of the ocean, the great serpent Vasuki was used as the rope. As you can imagine, he got pretty beat up. And it was Lord Vishnu himself who told him to go bathe in a sacred river to heal. It just goes to show you the deep respect these beings command across so many different traditions. Okay, so now that we kind of get the why, let's talk about the who and the how. Who are the people trusted to perform this sacred ritual, and what exactly happens during the ceremony itself? The ritual is performed by a really specific community, the Pulluvan. And this isn't a job you can just apply for. It's a hereditary right, passed down through generations. They're seen as the crucial link, the sacred messengers who can actually communicate with the serpent gods through their very unique songs. And this slide just perfectly illustrates the sound of the ritual. The music is completely hypnotic, and it's created by these 2 very special instruments. You have the Pulluvan Veena, this one-stringed violin that gives you the melody, and then the Pulluvan Kudam, which is basically an earthen pot that creates this deep, booming bass rhythm that really drives the whole ceremony. So here's how it all plays out. First, a special shelter is built. Then, they draw that incredible, intricate column we saw at the beginning. Then the Pulluvan start their songs, calling on the serpent gods to be present. This is what leads to the trance dance, where the chosen women basically become vessels for the divine. And then finally, the climax. Possessed by that spirit, they erase the beautiful art, which symbolizes that the offering has been accepted and the gods are appeased. Now, this ritual doesn't just happen in any old place. It's tied to very specific, very sacred locations. So let's take a quick look at the hallowed grounds where this tradition really comes alive. A lot of the time, this worship happens in Sarpa Kavus, or sacred serpent groves. These are basically patches of forest that are protected by local families, and they're seen as the natural home of the serpent gods. And here's the cool part. This tradition has an amazing side effect. It preserves biodiversity and protects these local ecosystems. Now this is the Munnar Sala Temple. It might be the most famous serpent shrine in the entire world. And what makes it so incredibly unique is its spiritual leader. The head priest isn't a man. It's a senior Brahmin woman who's known as Amma, or Mother. She lives a simple, aesthetic life totally dedicated to the serpent deities. At temples like this, a really common offering is turmeric and milk. Devotees will bring this to the serpent idols, and they're usually seeking very specific blessings. Most often for fertility, if a couple is having trouble conceiving, and also for cures for persistent skin diseases, which are often thought to be linked to the serpent's curse. This is amazing. This place isn't a public temple, it's a private Brahmin family home called Pambin Kalam, and it's believed to be the actual earthly home of the serpent king Vasuki. It just shows how deeply this whole tradition is woven right into the fabric of family and daily life, not just big temple festivals. And finally, there's the Ameda Temple. It plays another really vital role in all this. It's kind of like a sanctuary, a safe home for serpent idols from old family groves that can't be maintained anymore. It makes sure that the sacred tradition keeps on going. So, we've seen all this deep history and spiritual meaning. But what's the future for Sarppa Pattu in the 21st century? And this brings us to a very modern and, a very complicated question. Okay, so check this out. The research for this explainer actually included a survey. When they asked people if they knew about Sarppa Pattu, you can see that, a big majority, over 75%, have at least heard the name. But less than a third of people say they actually know what it is. So there's some awareness, but not really a deep understanding. And this next slide really drives that point home. When you ask, are people aware of its history and its deep relevance, nearly 2/3 say no. They might see the performance, but that deep cultural and spiritual meaning, the whole why behind it all, that part is often getting lost. So here's the million-dollar question. What do you do about that? When they asked if Sarppa Pattu could be promoted as a tourism product, the public was just completely split. There's no consensus at all. The answers for yes, no, and maybe are almost identical, which really shows this deep unease about the idea of commercializing something so sacred. And that leaves us with this final, really fundamental question. In a world that wants to see and experience everything, how do you share an ancient, sacred tradition like this one with a wider audience without stripping it of the very soul that gives it meaning in the first place? It's a huge challenge, not just for Sarppa Pattu, but for countless cultural practices all over the world. And honestly, there's no easy answer.